That's much better. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Believe it or not, I do practice occasionally, and I want to welcome everybody to Guru TV. I am your host, Jason Sutton from the Rader Golf School, and I want to talk to you today about getting a little bit more out of your practice. Early in the season, we're going to get out to the range. We're going to start working on some things. So, for those of you that are working out there and don't have all day to spend to practice, we want to get the most out of the time that we have, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. So we're going to talk about, how can we get a little bit more out of the range time that we're going to spend. The first thing that I like to talk about is getting proper feedback from your golf ball. What I see most folks do when they go to the range is they'll hit some shots, ball goes to the right, maybe they'll aim a little more to the left. Hit one to the left, maybe they'll adjust their aim more to the right. So basically you're not getting anything out of your practice, you're just chasing your ball flight. So what I like to do is get my students to do what I call building a workstation. If you can pan in on this a little bit, Dougie, you'll notice that I've got a couple of things going on here that's going to help me to get a little more feedback from what I'm doing. One is I've got a shaft in the ground that's representing my swing plane. So I've simply stuck the club in the ground, the same angle that the club I'm using a 7-iron today. Two is I've done what I call taking the guesswork out of your practice. If we can take two of the variables out of our practice and be consistent every time, we're going to be in good shape. One is I've got my alignment perfect. As you can see, I've got two dowel rods on the ground. One is aiming at my target, right, which is where the club face is going to aim. Very important to understand that. Most people get confused thinking that they're going to try to aim their body at the target, and that can cause all sorts of problems with your swing. So make sure we've got the club or the shaft on the ground aiming at the target. Two is we stand to the left of the golf ball. So we want to have this line, our body line, parallel left of our target line. So you can see my target line is here and I'm standing to the left. Very, very important. So when I sit up to the ball, my image or my eyes look about probably 5 to 7 yards to the left of the target. And then the last thing is I have an umbrella placed maybe 20, 25 yards out in front of me on my target line. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to figure out, is my golf ball starting on the target line? Is it starting right of the target line, or is it starting left? Because one of the most confusing things in golf is simply because we do stand to the left of the golf ball, the target looks or appears to be way to the right. So it's very important as I get this target line established, it's really going to help you. So if you tend to pull the ball, you're going to make some swings and really try to get that ball to feel like it's going to start right of the umbrella. Also, if you're coming across the ball and it's starting out to the right, this is going to help you to really try to get your swing plane a little bit more in line consistently, but also give you some good feedback on what your golf ball is doing. So you know that we're needing to make a swing change and not a fundamental change like alignment. So we've got our alignment on the ground. It's really going to help you to train your eyes to see what is correct every single time. Now, the feedback I get a lot of times is, well, Coach, I can't take this on the course. That's correct. But here's where we do the training. So that way when you do go on the golf course and you're walking into the ball, your eyes are going to tell you what the target should look like. So the second guesswork we can take out is your ball position. It's very easy without some visual aids on the ground to get confused with your ball position. You might be too far back or too far forward, and unless you have somebody standing in front of you, it can fool you real easily, especially if your stance width tends to vary. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'll take another shaft and I'll put it crossways like a letter T, where I can keep my ball position consistent. So I want my 7-iron to be right in the center of my stance, so this way every swing that I make, I'm going to be consistent. So I know I'm aiming properly and I know that my ball position is in the right spot. And then the last thing, if you notice when you saw me hitting a few balls warming up before the film, is that I was doing what? I was rehearsing. And this is one of the things that I blogged about yesterday, and I think what great players do is they have that ability to rehearse the proper swing and or rehearse something that's exaggerated. We talked about Ryan Palmer yesterday. Obviously he was trying to keep the club from dropping too much from the inside, so his practice swings looked a lot like this. So he was making practice swings that were a little bit over the top or a little bit from the outside. So that's the first thing when you're practicing, obviously, is to know what you're working on, have you some visual aids here, and then that way, in between shots, right, so you don't have to be hitting rapid fire like a lot of you guys out there are doing to see how many balls they can get in the air at once. We want to make sure that we hit some shots, we evaluate, and then we rehearse. So it'll look something like this. Go ahead and hit a shot. Hold my finish. Learn something, right? So we're not still looking at the ground like a lot of you out there do. Tee another ball up, and notice I tee it up. Don't be afraid to practice with a tee, because what this does, it allows me to keep my station intact. I keep my ball in the same spot. I don't have to move my training aids around. It really helps you to get a little bit more out of your practice. So then there, what I've been working on lately is trying to stay a little more steady over the golf ball and not get the club so far inside. So I'm going to rehearse coming down and feel like the club's a little more in front of me. I hit my best shots when I feel like I swing a little bit to the left. Now you guys might be the opposite. If you're an over-the-topper, you want to go ahead and feel like the club's dropping more behind you. A lot of you guys out there that are coming over the top, this is a great way. So you want to exaggerate that inside-out move. So it's good to be able to go ahead, do it slowly, so you can start to get some feedback and some feel, and then hit another shot. That was much better, a lot more solid, so I'm happy with that one. So I'm glad you guys could sit in on a little bit of my practice session. That's going to be one of my things this year. I'm going to try to play a little more golf and really get a little bit more out of my own game as I help you with your game. So we'll see you next time on Guru TV. I'm Jason Sutton, and I'll see you on the lesson tee.